Katie. So today we are going to talk about some easy cable management tips to help you organize your desk and your cables, whether you have a gaming setup, working from home, audio, all of that fun stuff. So let's get started. All right, so let's talk about what you need. First and foremost, your basics like your scissors. And then you're gonna need some of these like cable clippers, wire clippers. They've got some smaller ones out there, but this is what we have on hand. These are gonna be really, really important. So make sure you have some of these. And then the money makers here, you're gonna use some Velcro. Have really long strips of Velcro. You can get them on Amazon, your hardware store. You're gonna need both the hard side and the soft side of the Velcro. I've got a smaller desk, so I don't need a ton of it, but if you've got a larger desk, a really long one, you're gonna need quite a bit of Velcro. So get a few yards, order extra. You don't wanna run out, so make sure you've got enough on hand. Lastly, you're gonna need a couple of zip ties. So you need some of the longer ones like this, as well as some of these little babies, like this one right here. You're gonna use these to help keep your cables organized and neat and managed. One of the key things we're gonna make to help us cable manage are gonna be these little fuzzy mustaches. You're gonna want them to be a few inches long, like a nice little Tom Selleck full mustache. So let's show you how to make some of those. You're gonna take the soft side of the Velcro so it does not ruin your hands. A square. And then fold it like a hot dog. And voila, mustache. So you want to make a bunch of these little gaggle of mustaches here to have on hand. If you've got a lot of different cables, you want to make a bunch of them. So, you can kind of make them as you need and as you go along, but definitely have them on hand. Pre-made, it makes everything a lot easier. All right, so we've got our little pretend desk set up here. So we'll have to, use our imaginations. So this is the hard side of the Velcro that will run along the entire length of your desk. So as I was saying, if you've got a shorter one, you don't need as much Velcro, but if you've got a really long desk or like an L desk, you're gonna need quite a bit of Velcro to run across the length of the desk. And we wanna use the hard side because it totally sucks and scratches your hands. So you wanna be handling the soft side that you're touching a lot and just use this side to stick stuff to. Save your hands there. So we've got a couple of zip ties on hand as well as our mustaches and then our cable clippers. All right, so let's pretend with the cable here. So if you want to plug in, be sure you plug it in however it's going to be for your setup. So if this goes into a computer, in this case it's a monitor cable, so it'll be into the computer as well as to the monitor. So be sure to plug it in just how you're going to use it, to the wall, computer, all that fun stuff. So once you have it plugged in, you've got an idea of just how much slack you might need. You want to keep a couple of inches of slack, so that way, if you to account for any movement, and so it's not too tight and it's going to pull the cable or pull it out of the plug that it's attached to. So we're going to coil it up here. So this is, I'm going to show you here for what it would look like for a cable that you'll want to zip tie. So I like to use the zip ties on larger cables that have a bunch of slack into it. So some of your smaller cables, or maybe whenever you have it plugged into your computer and running the link of it, there's not a ton of slack. You may not need to coil it like this. Or if it's something that you change out often, like a keyboard or a mouse or something like that, the coiling and the cabling will be a little bit harder to change out, so you may not need it, and we can just use Caterpillar. So we'll show you that, but for this one, we're going to show you how to coil it. So I like to take about 4 fingers length and wind your cable around this, just like that. However long is the length of that slack. So you'll find that there's going to be like 2 natural points where it makes sense to kind of crimp them and hold them in place. So what you're going to do is you're just going to zip tie one of those points You want it to be tight enough that it holds it, but not so tight that it cramps the cable. All right, so you've got our 2 points. And we're not gonna be people that leave these tails hanging out. We're gonna get rid of them because it keeps it clean, it keeps it nice. It's just one of those details that if you're gonna cable manage, you just gotta do. So that's why we're saying that these are gonna be really important to use the clippers, and you wanna use the flat end of this so you can get as close to the little square, the nugget, as possible to prevent any sort of little tail hanging over. Because if you don't get super close, it makes these like jagged triangles of death that are just really sharp and kind of hurt. So get as close in there as possible. Give it a snip and see this is pretty smooth. Got your Velcro on the desk. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna secure it now to the desk with just a couple of sides of those caterpillars. Keep it nice and in place. Easy to move. So this is kind of what the finished product will look like. So we've got, you know, the cable running all the way across with the Velcro. We've got our coils attached. As you can see, not every cable can be managed. There are some that need slack, that need, you know, you change out a lot, you unplug a lot. Maybe that are just too short to be able to fit up here, and that's okay. We just get as much as we can on this. So you've got the majority of your cables nice and bundled in these like beautiful little coils here, all attached. Something to keep a note of is audio cables. If you've got a really long one and you're coiling it multiple times, it can introduce interference. So would recommend getting a shorter cable so you don't do that, or letting it be one of the ones that are not cable managed as tightly. And there you have it. Hopefully you learned something new and it was helpful in getting you started on some cable management. You'll figure out your own style and what works for you along the way. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and we will see you later.
Let's go.